Okay, let's dive in. We'll start. Oh, I need to scale this thing up here. Okay. Okay, we'll start with Martin. Raggedy, it's okay to take a break as well, for sure. I think you know that though. Feltera, hello. Good to see you. Happy Saturday. I was at work today. If that gives you any indication of the state of my reality, but it's okay. It's all right. It's not like we do that religiously or anything. I think it's like the third time in like 2 years or something like that. Cool. Okay, let's start with Martin's. So Martin. So Martin says life has been pretty stressful for me the last couple of weeks, dude. Around this time of the year, like things are kicking off, big things are moving. So sadly, I didn't have much time to work on this. Luckily, I now have more time. I feel a pattern here. Everyone's all of a sudden feeling the time is in their control. I decided to remove most of the stuff I initially planned to add on the left hand side. Yeah, that's fine. Uh, Left hand side of the composition, it give the composition with the composition, but I'm open to hear what you think. If there's anything I could improve, the lighting is pretty much permanent, work in progress, and will be changing every day. Yep, makes sense. I decided to do a short or a sort of neutral greenish ambient light with an orangish or an orange focal point, with some green accents or green accent lens, and I think it works quite well. It kind of gives a what do you call it? Fallout vibe. You know, like the hey Flo, thank you for the Prime Gaming. Yeah, like a Fallout old footage color tone. Yeah, these Nuka dogs. Um, a lot of the messages still block out. That's totally fine because I think if you're grappling with trying to figure out how to sepia, thank you, Chris. If you're trying to grapple with the scope of the scene and it's affecting your composition, then it's totally fine that you're still in a sense of blockout. Um, Dude, all the content here is pretty sick. Mine's pretty cool, but you guys are it's so exciting to see what you guys are always up to. Um, a lot of the messages are still block out. I still have to add a lot of foliage on the ground as well as create the landscape materials. There's still a lot to do. So generally, layout wise, I like what you've added here on the side. It gives a little bit more logic and reasoning. It kind of explains where we're at, like spatially. Like, oh, okay, that's a dock, and there's some water back there. I will say that now this requires less weight on this side of the screen, and because of that, this probably could be a little bit more central focused. Like maybe it's weighted too much on the side, on the right side. So like if I do a print screen here, what I'm thinking is maybe about that much. That'll just put you in this nice like central right space without like directly centering it or anything like that. What's quite interesting actually is this pole kind of sits right on almost on the center. But yeah, I mean design wise, I like that there's a character here. I think I would instead of illuminating the like if we zoom in here, instead of illuminating the back of the character, you might want to try illuminating them with the kind of green tone that you're getting from the rest of the environment as just like a rim light because we'll be able to identify that a little bit easier at first glance than the illumination of the back of a person, if that makes if that's clear. Um, Detail wise, I mean, I think if you pull the shot in a little bit, I would watch out for a tangent here where the dock meets the this ramp, and just give it a little bit of space here, just a little bit of room. Just offset it along the edge of the water, maybe like, I don't know, a meter or two. Hey, Dama, thank you very much, man. Believe it, there's a train. But I mean, otherwise, it's feeling pretty good. This is kind of hard to explain. I understand that it's powering the vehicle, but like, or that's what my brain is assuming. But it feels like it's going out into the water. It might be an element that could be, I don't know. I think I was gonna say, if you move it closer to the camera and use it as like a foreground to background element to help give you some depth, you'll lose what it is. Like, it'll be harder to quickly explain what it is, right? But it might be worth, like, you could use like, if we screen grab this again. So you've got the power lines back here. You could use a power line, I don't know, here to help explain. It's tough because I don't want it to like cut into your frame too much either. I mean, maybe it could just be like a tree that's closer, just something to bring, to do this. Either way, it's this looks promising, and the changes you've done, I think, haven't impacted the scene in a yeah, in the foreground. I think the changes you've made to the scene haven't really impacted the scene all that much in a negative way. Foreground elements would help, I think, quite a bit, actually. And then the only other thing I was saying is maybe pulling the frame in a little bit more so this isn't so heavily weighted to the right side. Otherwise, I would start getting, once you're comfortable with all that stuff, and you just be like, okay, is the composition, is it like 90% there? If it is, you can start moving on with the materials. Just block in the colors of what you think it's going to be. Like, this, because it'll help you figure out like the weighting of like how the color of materials affects your composition. Really cool stuff, though. I think it's a great way to descope it as well. Like, you're using a lot of repeating elements, but they actually repeat in real life, so it kind of just works. Well, my sister is calling me. Hang Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Hopefully everything's all right. My sister doesn't usually randomly call like that. Um, if I have to go, then we'll just have to move this. But I'm sure everything is fine. I told her I'd call her back. Jordan, hey, thank you for the tier 1. Sounds like everything is okay. Okay. Shokri. Dude, this is looking pretty nice. Hey, I redid stuff you said, and I still have done some milling rings. All right, yeah. But what do you think? Am I ready to post it? Ooh, this is a cool. So this angle is really cool. I would rotate that wheel just a little bit so we get a little bit more front facing. You know what I mean? Maybe shift it a little bit more to the right so it's a little bit more in frame. Yeah, the angle itself is really cool though. I think you just want to see a little bit more of the wheel. Really cool. What happened to your floor? Oh, this line here. Yeah, I just have to UV it. As long as you're aware it's there, then we're okay. So generally this looks pretty nice. There's some nice bevels that are kind of making it not feel so geometric. Some of the edges are a little sharp. The main thing that made me react to say that type of stuff though is this piece here. This feels very geometric in the how simple the shape language is. So exaggerating those bevels a little bit just to have it read a little softer on the eye will go a long ways on those types of details. I kind of feel like these lines might be a tad strong. Like they should be there, but maybe not. Like, are they only in the normal? Okay. So they actually they wouldn't be in the roughness. It's just a normal direction shift. So lighting is what will make it pop out. I mean, unless it evenly got like a dirtiness inside of it, then in that case maybe, yeah. But I think it feels very artificial right now because it's in the roughness as well. Like just putting it in the normal is like giving it like because you know when metal gets milled, it's the surface is being scraped, so the vector of that surface changes from its original direction, right? So that vector shift, you're actually doing that in the normal map. This looks pretty rad though, man. This looks nice as well. It feels the dirtiness here. It feels a little bit like there's a tiling dirtiness in the roughness across the entire surface. You might want to try and find a way to break it up in here or something. Maybe like soften it, like tone it down just a little bit. And then how this connects to the body, it doesn't really. Yeah, this edge is really sharp. It doesn't really feel like it's like they've been in contact for a long period of time. It almost feels brand new. I don't know how high poly this is, but there's like a little point here that feels a little sharp. And then maybe elements like this, these maybe are a little too thin, so they read really like flimsy from back here or like busy. Um, yeah. Otherwise, I think you're quite close. There's just some like tweaking and adjustments that need to happen. I'm getting a cough drop thing so I can keep talking. But yeah. I think you're quite close. Maybe a few more hours of some adjustments and taking on the feedback, and then yeah, the angles that you've posted though, I really like them. Like this one's really cool. I would actually make this your thumbnail. Something like this. Mm. We'll probably post it next week. Awesome. Okay. Next up is this room here. Saba. Okay. Hey there. Hope you're doing well. Can I get some feedback on a work in progress abandoned chateau room? I remember this room. Man, there are some elements of this that feel very photo real. It's really interesting. I've included the previous version as well, just to give you an idea of its progress. It's taken a bit longer than expected due to some personal stuff. Life happens. Life happens, man. It's totally okay. Don't beat yourself up over that. It's really important. Any thoughts that you might have, especially regarding the shapes, style, mood, and overall impression, would be incredibly helpful. Thanks a bunch. All right, let's take a look. There are 3 images, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, so last time I think I looked at it, it looked like this. Oh. So I really like this camera angle, mainly because it's so like centered on the fireplace. It feels quite a bit like a classic photo. I think the chandelier. Okay, first of all, this is a huge improvement from what we were looking at before. Like, the room feels more accurate in scale, just by the nature of the props being a little bit more fleshed out. You can see the door being where it's at now, and then having a sense of the rest of the hallway is really good. I think I would go a little bit more grand on the connection point of the chandelier, and I would scale that chandelier up like 2 times, make it like 200% larger. I think it would have the weight that you're expecting it to have. Like the chain link that's up there seems really small, but then you look at the lamp over here. That lamp must be huge. But maybe it is because the photo frames. There's some scale stuff going on that you might want to look at. The litter that's on the ground, I would try and localize it a bit more. Maybe a little bit more of it over here, less around the door, maybe more around the corner over here, and then a version of it that's maybe just collected against where the wall meets the. Where am I at here? Where the wall meets the floor. You get a strip of like little bits of litter. And yeah, there isn't any litter on the rug. Maybe there's something. Maybe the rug was just recently placed there and there's something under it. Maybe. You ever think about that? Did you? Did you ever think about that? Be kind of crazy. Um, mm. But yeah, a little bit of litter on the rug. Shadows on the chandelier feel a little sharp. Ooh, man, it's so crisp. There's a bit of yeah, the height of the table to the wall trim it feels a little strange. So be careful with the lines aligning. You have a lot of these tangents where like see this line here lines up with the frame here. Just get the frame up a little bit taller. It's definitely bonus points when you can break those lines. So like for example, if the frame actually went up here. See now you take this line and you break it, it goes up and over. Man, we accidentally did that, but I almost feel like that could almost be your thumbnail. Or even like over here. I really like zooming in on stuff. Does it makes you want to look at the rest of it? Yeah. Making sure we're not double treating the doggo. Don't want it to turn into a fat sausage. But yeah, watching out for those alignment issues. We call them tangents. But otherwise, looking pretty cool. There's some interesting lines here. I guess those are part of the way the wall's put together. So are these supposed to be like nail points? You're shrinking those down and making them look like they've been hammered. Maybe, dude, maybe a normal map that kind of shows the hammering pattern. Oh, that'd be cool. You know, when you hit a board a lot and then it just kind of has a little dents. But yeah. Generally, it looks pretty cool. I would say some of the props are very like straightened. Like if you took this ladder and just like pulled it out a little bit and rotated it like 15 degrees, just so everything's not so on 90-degree angles, like straight on a grid feeling. And then, like I was saying, scaling this up, maybe bringing this type of ornament detail into this, helping tie some of the infrastructure together, the design of the space. And then I'd be careful with the amount of wear and tear that's happening here. I think what you're doing here with the wallpaper, which looks a little skewed and then like it looks a little stretched, relying on roughness and some of this normal information and less on like overall wear and tear would probably help a lot. And remember, this is probably like wood, right? But then painted white. So instead of it darkening like this, it's probably going to be chipping to reveal the wood under it. More than like this kind of like, maybe this is mold, I'm not sure. Some discoloring of the floor could be good. And then you can see like there's trying to tell stories of the props. I think you're doing a pretty good job of that already. But if you were to take, imagine there was a photo here, but then you have it down here on the floor and the glass around it, like it's fallen. You can have a darker spot on the wall where basically the wall hasn't been exposed to the sun as much as the rest of the wall, so the surface of it is not as like bleached out. You get sun bleaching on your walls over time. And if there's a photo that was hung up for like 20 years and then it falls, the wall there is literally going to be a different value and saturation to the rest of the wall. You can probably just do that with a decal. Yeah, for the chain to break, the chain maybe was made out of something faulty. It's more likely that this would give somewhere. But I think this is fine. It just needs to be scaled up, and then the base needs to be a lot larger. But yeah, really huge improvement. Huge improvement. Really like it. Okay. So, hey, thank you for submitting your work, man. I mean, look at this. You're doing some great stuff, dude. All right, Miro, you're a bit lost on what to do with this. I mean, I think it's done. I like the base. Let me get in here. So I really like the base. I like how this is a darker element. It's like a different type of stone. Or like a marble even. Hey, Chris, have a good one, man. Enjoy your evening. I think so. If you want to go, if you don't know what to do with this, but you feel like it's missing something, it maybe just needs some support props. But maybe that's a crazy ask. I think it looks good, dude. It looks done. Maybe the paint could be a little bit more like aged, because this looks like it was freshly painted. And it would be nice if there's a little bit of like weathering on where the color is. Yeah, I need some jewels in those eyes or something in them. It's like where the paint is good and the amount of paint is good. But I think damaging it or wearing it down would do a lot. Let me see if I can hang on here real quick. I'm gonna Photoshop up here. The statue looks really cool though. Okay. Sleepy Marv, dude, I love that name. So let's just dupe this and we'll just go in. We'll desaturate it a bit. And maybe we'll do some like a little bit of bleaching. There we go. And then I'm going to let me think here. I'm gonna put a mask on it. Right? Nice. Nailed it. Just gonna grab this stuff. Let me do that here. Oh, nice. We got a comparison. Actually, sorry. No, we should group this and put a mask on this one. There we go. And then this one we should clear it, invert it. There we go. Now we can paint on here. No, you're supposed to. Oh, right. You need to go inside of there. Now I should be able to just paint on this. Nice. Okay, cool. So maybe there's some stuff we could be doing with like the upper part and just really making it feel a little bit, because right now it's very uniform. Maybe, let's see here. Let me turn this up a little bit more. But yeah, just kind of like bleaching it out a little bit on like the top down could be nice. And it doesn't need to be uniformly done either. And then let's go ahead and dupe this, and then we'll really like push the saturation down. And nice. We'll clear this, and then we'll use this as a way to like imagine the paint is just not perfect, right? It's like hundreds of thousands of years old. That type of stuff. I probably need to colorize it and give it the color of the rest of your bird. Yeah, bird. Like just age it, give it some time. And you could see the difference, like if let's just kind of looks like it could be lighting, right? But I think doing that age, big variations in the base stone would be nice. For sure. Pretty sick though. Otherwise, I think it's done. I like the base that it's on. How are you approaching this? Is it Megascans box? Yeah. Works for me, man. It reads really well. And like just getting those unique shadows under there, it's pretty cool. Yeah, presentation's really, really nice. Okay. Yeah, I don't have much else to add to it. I hmm. One thing I would say is the stone is probably like the saturation of it overall is just very really high. So maybe look at that. All right. Next up, would love to get some feedback. This is from is it Jasprit? Hey, would love to get some feedback on the composition lighting of this Venice scene I'm making. The scene is supposed to be that there's uniquely shaped yellow cafe right in the back. Okay, yeah. With an alleyway leading up to it. I've been mainly working on the buildings, modeling and texturing up until now. Okay. Hmm. Let me think about this one for a second. But I've started work on the layout of the scene. I think before you continue any further, let's like lock in the scene, the layout, right? And figure out like how we portray what you're aiming to do here. So the focus is this cafe. Right now you have and you're the focus is a cafe and you're looking at it from an alley directly at it. So an alley usually is quite narrow and doesn't feel like a main path, right? Um, so with that said, right now it feels very wide, spatially. The focus is the cafe, and the cafe is very far away, right? So bringing the cafe closer, whether it be like taking the camera and moving it forward, that would that's probably how I would do it, and then I would narrow the path. Are you looking at references of Venice? I'd be curious to see how narrow they get and what elements are like populating the space. Because I can tell that this is the focal point mainly because there's a sign here. But as you fill this space with props that help sell the logic of the scene, like, okay, maybe there's a bench here, okay, a trash can here, and then maybe there's stuff hanging out of the windows here. As those elements show up, you're going to lose the cafe more and more. It's it's harder to fill a large space, and then at the same time, if you do successfully fill a large space, if the focal point is a smaller, further back detail, you will lose it. And so the compositionally right now, it's not lending itself to be supporting what you're trying to do, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, so I think what I would do is narrow the street, maybe to about half its thickness or its width, maybe 2/3 of what it is now. And then I would bring the camera almost right up to the stairs. Maybe even invert it. Take the stairs, and instead of going up the stairs, it's going down. And you are looking at the building from higher, looking down at it. Does that make sense? Because you're trying to make it feel narrow, but then it's also, you can use that as an opportunity to have it open up before it gets to the building, which kind of gives you the layout. Hmm. Man, I wish I had your project because I could just move some stuff around and kind of show you what I mean. I'm gonna open Blender really fast. Give me a minute. Let me see where we're at on posts as well. Okay, we're doing okay so far. We're not very behind or anything, so I'm gonna just move this. I'm gonna put this on the side here. Okay, so you have a building that's like this, and then I'm just gonna think at like this. So you have like a building here, you have a building here, you have stairs, which I'll just do with a ramp. It's maybe a little extreme. You've got a ground plane. Is this a cube that I made? Yeah, nice. It's fine. Just gonna put this here. And then we'll just dupe this and bring this down here. I'll bring it down a floor. This is me hacking away here. And then, so let's bring these buildings in. You've got another building. Oh, this happens like this. So the buildings that are here are a little further. Just gonna join these. We'll just do that. Something like that. And then you've got another one here. You've beveled it like this. And then you got one here. And then another one here. We'll just take all of these. We'll just bring them up like this. Nice. I'll roll with this for now. Cool. So scale wise, it's pretty narrow here. So I would probably reverse this. Let's do this. So if you do this way, you can then use buildings on the sides here and actually have this turn into more of a courtyard that oversees it. You could narrow this more. You're not going to see these buildings back here, so maybe we'll do these ones. So what you could do is something like this. And maybe the stairs are even shorter and come out a little bit further. I don't know. I'm just exploring here, trying to help. Nice. That didn't help at all. But I think you get the idea, because then you have some interesting shapes you can play with. Like maybe you want to like tilt buildings, and they get narrower, and there's like little back alleys that you're wanting to have. This could go further back, so you see there's a little bit of space there. because like you have to fill this area with something. And if you don't have, like, as you build that library up, which I would suggest doing while you're figuring out the layout of the space, get that all those blockouts in there, because that's just it's gonna answer everything for you. You'll be able to see how much space you need. And I mean, if you really wanted to see, then you get this type of stuff. You can do angles like from the balcony here. Maybe it's on like on a balcony with actual plants and stuff, and you're looking down into this little courtyard area where there's like little cute little seats and stuff for people in the cafe to just sit outside and think about all those little textural details, like all the little propping that's going to happen around it. You could play the saturation of the buildings for sure. That could do some stuff. That's a good approach. You could do stuff like making the building taller than this one. I would definitely, if you can see the building heights, it would be nice to have them lower a little bit. But yeah. Otherwise, I like the idea that you're going with. It's just thinking about how you increase the focal power that you have on the target that you want, and focus all of your energy and effort towards that, and not like the rest of the scene that's going to occlude it, you know? But I mean, it looks cool. The edge here, I think, come back for another critique once you can even tag me in the critiques channel. Once you feel like you have your layout in a good spot, and let's just have a look at it and see where it's at. Because I like what you're doing. It's just very far away. The reality is as well as this could work, what you're doing right now. Just if you want to keep this angle, I would try and draw focus away from everything except the building that you want us to look at. Leave it like that. Yeah. Cool. Let's keep going here. Okay, next one. From Flo. I left some general feedback as well as composition material and materials on my work in progress. Also, Venice City. Let's go. What do you think would be about the more orange lighting? Oh, right, because you've got some other images as well. Dude, this one's cool. This shot is this shot feels very familiar because it looks like an angle that someone would take with their phone. So there is some benefits to that. The ornate details around the windows and stuff, this is all really cool. Okay, so first of all, I really like this shot, and I like the colors that are coming from it. The things that are kind of throwing me off a little bit are the like stone pattern and how it continues after patterns that are on top of it. So it clearly feels like a pattern is being laid on top of the building instead of like it being built into it. But yeah, this feels like a freaking photo. Now, when I look at this shot, there's scale stuff going on that feels strange. Like this building feels like it's stretched. There's a lot of like geometric hard edges that are going on. So it's like, I think right now you're jumping really ahead into the materials when I think just solving the scale and the shape language that you're working with needs to be sorted out first. Like this edge is super sharp, right? Maybe these are all block out, like the skewing that's happening here. I don't know if that happens in the real one. Like this building feels pretty thought out, but then it turns into a whole other building all of a sudden. Is there a reference based off of this? Because that feels very strange. All of a sudden, it looks like two different buildings got smashed together. I can tell this is kind of the age and where you're looking for. You just make sure you're matching your references and that the values are all kind of like sitting in the same range. Right now, a lot of the values kind of feel very strong compared to each other. Not PC, what's up, man? How you doing? So this is just another building right next to it. So see what this pattern like this is? This feels like the center of the building. Let me see if I can just copy this. So like if we make this black and white, you can see the range of everything on the wall is pretty contrasty. I can see that the plaster or like the surface on top of the stone or the brickwork would be a different value to the brickwork, but I think this paint hurts you by being darker and lighter and darker and lighter. Like you can have the differences here, but tone them down a lot and that'll help you immensely, I think. I want to see if I can like it's like I want to can I just please it's like you can do this, just don't let it become so dark and let the dark values happen with the brick, and immediately you'll have the effect of like it not being so busy. The other thing that you were mentioning was the other two images. So these ones, this is definitely too saturated. Like that's way outside the PBR range. Let me see here. You probably would need to like something like that. Let me see where we're at here. What did it look like before? It's maybe still in the range. It feels very strange though, saturation wise. I would highly suggest desaturating that, just to pulling a bit of saturation out, just to ground it a bit more. Like this might work, but I feel like if it's that saturated, a lot of these other elements are going to have that same kind of saturation. Like it'd be the lighting that's causing it to be saturated like that. Yeah, it's very saturated. And with all the trim patterns being like a different value to the rest of the structure, you get this weird separation of the elements. So it really breaks down. It feels like geometry. Like you can tell because hang on here. You can tell because of this and these elements being lighter, that this is just a plane, and getting that like this interactivity you've got going on here around the elements. This is really nice. It helps melt everything together. But these elements are just making it flat. So if you can find ways to, I mean, maybe it's just a matter of adjusting the value of them. Could be. No, this is not working. uh, let's see here. Can I do this? Please? No? Object Finder, let's just turn that off. There we go. Like you can see how just doing that, now it's kind of blended in. It'll just flow better. It'll match, and the facade colors will kind of all melt together. Yeah. And then I think you had one more image. Yeah, this one. Also, like this feels really nice here. The tree feels a bit artificial. I mean, if you want to make the trees for sure. If you don't want to make the trees, it is totally okay to grab Megascan trees off the library and just find the right types of trees that work for your scene. And then you'll be in a much like better spot as far as your, like right now, the foliage, this tree is detracting from your environment because it just doesn't, like, there's not a lot of subsurface happening in here. It's very dark in there. Yeah. I'd be curious to see all the references and stuff that you're looking at. Mediterranean Megascan trees. The hole in their library, huh? Either way, the like if you were to stick with this tree, for example, I would like push your transmission or your subsurface up just to get those darker parts of the shadows to just not be so dark. Definitely keep looking at all your references and just try and like understand what is making it feel like Venice, and what are the elements that you have that are heading in that direction, or the things that are going away from that. Really cool though. It's quite a big scene. I would try and focus on like one shot. Like if you fix the stone tiling things here and just like made this not look low poly, add a little bit of plants somewhere in a window or something that's like coming down through the cracks and whatnot, you could probably post this and move on. Like you don't need to build an entire scene in order to be like impressing people. Like this is pretty sick. Yeah, it's really cool. These could probably use some parallax occlusion so they feel like they're going inwards a bit more. But really nice. Really nice stuff. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Antonio. It already has palm. Okay, maybe it needs to be pushed a little bit further. Oh man, I wonder if you're looking at my buddy Martin's scene while you're working on this. Good old Martin Hoff. Cool. So just finished my final year project. Any feedback will be appreciated to improve. I make everything except the characters, and the foliage is made by using Atlas from Quixel. Nice. Okay. Let's take a peek at some of these things here. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so when you do shots like this, I guess the craving is to want to put all of it in one image, right? I would try and localize it to a handful of these. So maybe do like the large objects, like the telephone pole, maybe the water tower. Yeah, maybe those two, maybe the ladder. And then the rest, put those in their own image. That way we can get up and close because you want to see them. You know, you want to see the details. Like this is great to see. I guess this is vertex painting that you're using to break up the surfaces. From here, you can see a little bit of tiling, so it'd be something to maybe look into. Like this is great that there's a gate here, and like I like that it frames it. There's no atmosphere like separating the city or the town from the gate, right? So you end up it ends up becoming very busy or hard to read. I'm just gonna do a really messy job here, just to illustrate what I'm talking about. Oh man, this is real bad. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, ignore it. So, hmm. So just getting some like separation would do a lot, right? So you think about like maybe not smoke, but it's like atmosphere, like a fog, or like the just the atmosphere between you and objects in your eyes. I need another one of these cough drop things, man. I doubt this is gonna work, but let's go. Huh, I knew it. No. I think you get what I'm saying though. I just wish I could show you. You know? I just want to be able to show you quickly. But that's not very easy to do. Ah, it does a little bit. There we go. You can see it's a bit, this is a bit dark as well. There should be quite a bit of light in there. Oh yeah, exile. Yes, exactly. Yeah. The other thing I would say, so that just minus the fog stuff, you want to make this actually feel like a path that people take. So like there probably shouldn't be much grass here. Probably should be like 2 tracks, kind of like what you're doing with your which image is it? Where is it at here? This one. You see there's 2 tracks here, but you don't have like there should be some depth or height difference in there. I don't know if this is terrain, but like getting that sculpted down would go a long way. If you can't sculpt that fidelity, I would be using projected decals that do just like, was it pixel? Let me think here. So you can project decals that right to the terrain, and those decals could have displacement in them, And you can use that to get the terrain fidelity further than what it can do with just sculpting it. You know what I mean? Because you can use nanite and tessellation for it. Um, but yeah, it's just making sure that your ground doesn't feel too flat. There's a lot of logic stuff you've got going on here, which is great, like fences and where the power lines are. The buildings look pretty good. They're very evenly spaced out, and I would, because you made a modular set, I would add like a couple more buildings just to kind of like build a like a structural layout to the street. Like usually these gates don't face the buildings, they face the street, right? So like you would have, like if it was our let's use the darkness of the trees here. So if you had your gate was here, the street would go this way, and then you'd have your buildings along it, you know? That's usually how they lay them out. Because right now you have the gate over here, but it doesn't really have like a logical connection as to why it's there. There's no road that shows that it's used. So it's those details that need to get in there. Yeah, it's like a side entrance right now, but it has the name of the thing above it, so it's like not really a side entrance. Man, buildings from this time are so weird. The whole like front facade. But like you can see here as well that the ground is very flat. Yeah, getting some new road paths in there, some variation in the height of your grass. The flowers likely wouldn't be sprouting up in the middle here just because they're getting trampled all the time. It's just going to be like whatever grass can survive. Hmm. I'd probably try and age the paint a bit as well. Like you've got some like decals or dripping or dirtiness on top, but the paint isn't discoloring or like chipping away at all. So it's kind of hard to feel I mean, maybe the saturation's a bit high as well. I don't know, maybe it's okay. It feels a bit artificial right now in the colors. But you've got a lot of like supporting props that kind of like build around the space, which is great. So you've got a lot of like little details, like the amount of propping that you're using and the amount of stuff you have here. I would say you've underpropped by about by about 60%. Like you could take all the props you have and pile on 60% more, and it would feel more natural and feel more detailed, and like there's these wooden, like these wood crate things here and the barrels and stuff. Like tell a story with that. Like pile up a bunch of wood crates on the side of this building. Maybe there's some over here as well. Put one here just to break up and because they're around each other, they kind of they go, oh, they're storing stuff here, or this stuff, they move a lot of stuff around over here. There's just a lot of empty space that could be filled with things that would logically appear there, just to give the density and kind of liveliness of the space. It's probably the biggest thing I learned when we were making the division. Is just like, what is this place? Okay, what would be there? Oh, we're in a storage room. Okay, what would they store? Okay, after it was a storage room, then what did it turn into during the pandemic? Post pandemic, what happened to the room then? Like just all this layering of just props that tell you what the space is or was or what it turned into. Like this hotel should totally have bed frames outside that are just propped up against the building that are being repainted or something. But yeah, overall, really cool. You've got a nice scale to this space. Just gotta, turn it up a little bit more. Okay, next up, Helena. I always wonder if I'm saying your name correctly, Helena. I'm doing pretty well. I had a really bad cold, but I'm doing great. You're asking me how I'm doing in your message here. So, working on this one at the moment. You build scenes very quickly, by the way. You're saying it just right. Nice, perfect. Okay, let's bring this over here. Oh man, those little fishies. Wow, dude, there's a lot going on here. Oh, and a snake. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So what you've proven to me since you started making environments is that you can model and you can texture and you have strong ideas in your mind and you're building compositions that are interesting and have like a design to them. The I think where things are bumpy, at least in this one right now, in this current project, is the overall detail and contrast of everything that's happening. So there's like if we go, let's copy this image and we'll bring it into Photoshop here. If we run, oh, where's it at? I always lose it. There we go. Level check. So where we have it, well, yeah, actually, with the colors that I'm using, you can't really see it very well. So where it's black is basically the pixels are too dark, right? Now, if I start modifying this, let's maybe like, these are areas that are considered to become hotspots. They're not they're not nearly bright enough to be flagged as a hotspot. You can see you're doing a pretty good job of controlling the upper side of your range. But if I bring it down like this, you can see, whoops, you can see that where blue is at, those are your brighter points. So you've got bright points everywhere. So if you can localize them to areas that you want us to focus on, like I think what I would expect if we were to turn it up like this is it would probably be closer to, let me see here if I can do this. So if I did midtones, no, highlights. Okay, sure. So what I would actually expect is maybe more like this. So everything is really focused around here for the highlight. Of course, I probably like destroyed actually, you see how there's highlights everywhere? That's the thing I'm trying to like tone down. Because we want you to focus on one, like the main, like it's the book, I think, is what you want us to be looking at. And then you have these really dark areas. Man, this is cool. I think in your video it's darker even. So there's a lot of things happening right now. There's a lot of things going on. I would suggest maybe hmm. Yeah, it feel there's you're just getting overloaded with information basically. Everything is where it's at and it makes sense where it's at, but it's all fighting for like equal attention. When I think the main thing you want to be looking at is probably the book. Like, see if we could push this down a little bit, but like we didn't have black pixels. You could probably have all of the lighting be coming from like, let's see if we can do this. You probably, is this an actual moon? And it's just lined up with the window perfectly? It's not contrasting the lighting more. It's focusing it on the areas you want us to look at. Right now, I don't know where to look, so I kind of look everywhere. It's very busy. There's a lot of information to take in, so it's very intense on the eyes. There's no like 30-70 rule where like 30% is like high frequency and 70% is calm. Like your calm is kind of up here and in here, and then your high frequency is maybe like 70% of the image. Like it could be as easy as like taking the patterns here and just lowering the contrast of the patterns in them. Like this surface here feels it feels modeled because this feels flat, and then you've got these lines from the wood just meeting it. Whereas like maybe you can either see the ends of the wood pieces, which I hesitate to say just because it adds more frequency detail. But like watching out for these laser lines is going to be important. The foliage kind of is being affected by lighting in a way where it doesn't feel like foliage. There's a lot of light sources I think happening right now. I would try and like localize it to these. Maybe shrink the moon so it's not so perfectly like positioned. And then you'll recognize it a bit more as like, oh, that's the moon outside, like kind of lining up with the window. That's kind of crazy. Hey, thanks for the resub, dude. Um, yeah, I'd be curious to see this project if you feel like sharing it with me. I just want to see what the like how you're organizing your lights and how many lights there are and like because there's a lot of character in here and you're doing a great job propping. You're doing a really good job with your materials and like it's just everything looks interesting, but everything is equally interesting. So it's just you're just getting flooded. That's all. It's like you're trying to show everything all at once. Yeah, I guess I'm just curious so I can see what the lighting like how you're doing your lighting. You would turn down the purple lights and have a subtle moonlight god ray into the onto the book. Interesting. Also maybe depth of field to blur out the edges. The lens you're using is really flattening everything out. You know what's really interesting is, and this is not a bad thing, but it's got like a Nancy Drew vibe to it. You know the Nancy Drew like find the object type games. I don't think you need to take. much assets away. It's just controlling what you're seeing, if that makes sense. Like toning things down could be removing stuff, but it can also be like look at each aspect. So there's the density of props, then there's the way that the lighting is perceiving, like hitting you. So those two things, you can balance those in a way where you can really, I think you can keep the propping relatively how it is, and it's more about making sure that the materials and lighting don't fight each other for attention. Animals hidden in the scene. Yeah, dude, I saw the snake, man. It was moving. I saw the little like, look at this. Like I saw this and then immediately was like, what is that? What is that? I want one. There's a freaking galaxy in this jar. This is, you know, it's crazy. It's cool stuff. Did they think kill the cat? No way, man. You don't F with cats, man. Okay. I hope that made sense. I felt like I just went on some random rambliness. Really fun watching you build environments though. It's cool because I can see that you're coming from a different vector. You know, some people are like, "Oh, I want to be an environment artist." And then you've been doing characters. You're like, "Oh, I'm going to make some environments." And just the way you look at it and approach it, just by the nature of where you came from, completely different. And because of that, the work you're creating is it's a different feeling. And that's great because that makes you stand out. You're different in the best way possible. Yeah, and your pace is kind of insane. I'm curious how you're doing without lighting on fire. Okay, let's jump to Chris here. So working on the gong for the challenge right now. I've been running a bit behind because of exams coming up, trying to work as fast as possible right now while maintaining a certain amount of quality. Don't stress about it too much. This already looks really cool when we saw it in engine. We can actually load this one up probably if we wanted to. Let's see if we can do that. Oh my god, there's 11 changes. Let's go. I'm grabbing it. Okay, well that's downloading. Let's so it's interesting because here it doesn't really, like, even here it like feels a little crazy, like a little busy. I mean, it's okay if you. So you think the uploaded version feels a little flat? To me, it actually looks very good. You don't need to do a quick export. It's okay. Wow, this is a serious download. I think you should be careful with the amount of strength you want to push your normals. Maybe it'll be okay once you have it in the environment because you get all the bounce information, kind of light hitting it. But the surface is, I don't know, man. In the scene, they really feel, they felt good. In the first perspective, it looked kind of flat. Yeah, this one. Yeah, I mean, like maybe where things meet, they could be a little bit more like connected. Not so much this soft removal you're seeing of the paint. Let's see. We'll open up the scene and take a look over it. Because I think it has everything to do with the environment that's reflecting on the surface because it's PBR, right? Here the lighting's really extreme, so the specular and like the way the roughness is reading is gonna look really extreme. And the strength of your normals will pop a lot more because the darker edge of your normal is not being filled by an ambient like reflective scene. So like, okay, let me just close this. Where are we at here? Whoa, there's a chair in here now. Oh boy. No. No. There we go. Like this looks dope to me. I think all I would do is work on the subtleties of your roughness. See, I think if you add your normal information here, this like soft feel that we've got going on here, and like, oh man, this feels good. This looks really good to me. I think if you want this stuff to pop out more, maybe do very slight tweaks in your roughness, and that'll do it. You can see here, like the surface here is very strong. Like you see the like that information. I wonder if like let me see if we can just like roughness max. I can't really roughness min. It kind of does it. So you can see it's like, I think it's the normal strength in here that's a little wild. You don't have a detail normal on this either. That's the other thing. Is like, if we can get a wood grain tileable material, that's a normal. Sorry, it's gonna really push the fidelity. Like this type of information here, you probably don't need this in your bake. You can give us like a mask where this is like masked out, and then this isn't, and this is masked out, and then we put a detail normal that does all of this. But generally, I mean, this to me, this looks really nice. Like really nice. Dude, look at this. That's wild, man. Yeah, to me, this is already like all you really need to be doing is polishing your roughness. It's crazy. Craytown. Are the color changes an upgrade in your opinion? Let me look here again. I think you should save it as another version, and we can put both of them in here, because like your other version could go to the right here, and it can have all the patterns and details that you want. Because like if we bring it up here, you can see how different it is from the current one. I think it is nice, but it's also maybe quite detailed. We could try it on one of them as a variation, and if it looks good, then we can swap it out, or we can use both of them. But I really like the palette you have going on with this one. Yeah. I'd be careful to not overdo your normal information. If you want more fidelity, do in the roughness. You'd be surprised how much that affects your work. I say that, and I'll show you why I say that. Actually, Raggedy, I don't know if you're in the stream, but Raggedy was telling me, he's like, "Yo, the scene you're working on right now, the temple, you should show everyone your roughness, because it's all over the place." You know, I'm always talking about roughness variation. Roughness variation is extremely important. This group project was such a cool idea. I hope you do another one. There will be another one before the end of the year. I think what I'm planning to do is 2 a year. So if we go over here and we just go to like detail lighting only, or sorry, maybe roughness is better. So you can see there's like so much information going on. And it's just getting that variation in there is really, really important. And you see the little highlights you get in the dirt. Or like the, yeah, dude, it's even flat here. Huh. But roughness breakup variation, even like within a single value difference, is a huge one up on your quality. Okay, let's hop to the next one. We got about 20 minutes to go. I'm going to close the critiques and just keep going through these. So okay, so we got Jordan R. Hope that was helpful, by the way. It's looking really cool. Hey, look at this. Okay, so Jordan R. Working on post-process at the moment, looking to finish this up soon as I want to move on to a new project with everything I've learned. Note, in the animation, there's a fog card with a panner. Going to slow it down a lot as it's too fast and noticeable, especially in the grass. That's interesting that you're doing it through a panner. I would do it in the sequence and just move the card. So you don't have to like play with the trickery of the shader. Because you can just lengthen the amount of time in the timeline and it'll move slower because of that. So you just keyframe 2 points. So it's especially noticeable in the grass. Also, I still have to update the lighting. Only a slight change. Haven't had time to render the anim again. Any feedback on how it can be improved will be much appreciated. Okay. Man, I still feel like the building is getting lost in the fog. Like it looks like you're doing a height fog. I really like these elements back here, by the way, now. Let's bring this in here. So I like this smoke that's coming out here. It kind of feels like it's on a different plane from everything else when it comes to the atmosphere. So you might want to look at the brightness of it. Might be a little bright. The smoke. This feels really nice. I would see if you can bring some more of those elements into here. Maybe because like you see how this spikes up? Getting maybe a spike up here just to continue that language. Maybe another shape here. But yeah, the building, I like that you have this height fog. It's really cool looking. I still think the building is being affected by it a little too much. But yeah, this is almost a perfect selection here. Let's go with that. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this and paste it. Oh, I'm missing the chimney. Boop boop boop. I'll just roughly, yeah, sure. Okay, just paste this, and I'm gonna just do this as if it's not being affected by the fog. It doesn't even have to be that much, but just a little bit. Okay, so you see that? Just gets it to pop off from the trees behind it. It's like coming out of the fog, if you want to say it like that. Yeah, I think that would do a lot because you're losing it as a focus. Everything is telling me to look at this tree. Like this tree, I would bring it even close to the camera and I would depth of field it out, like blur it and just use it to frame your shot. I wonder if I can just do that. Hang on. I love how this picture keeps showing up. Oh my God. Oh, right. I probably need to hang on. Gonna pull this in. There we go. Okay. Dude, this scene's really cool for sure. Oh, maybe I'll just blur the whole thing out. Hang on. Focus on the trees. There we go. Or like back there. I'll hit OK on this. Then I'll copy it and then undo, paste. There we go. Nope. See, we shouldn't really even be looking at that focus there, like this tree. Like everything should be here and a little bit of here. Now you can see because of the highlights that you have over here that are so bright, this should definitely be brighter, like in the highlights. Hmm. But yeah, it's a battle, man. Constantly tweaking and yeah, you want that building to be the focus, you know? I almost feel like that might work. An axe stuck in the stump? Oh, and this one? I mean, if it was if it looked like it was meant for that, then I think that would be fine. Is there a well back there? What is that? That's quite interesting. This scene. It's man, it's like so close to there. I always like tweaking these values just to see what it does. Yeah, this scene's really cool though. I would maybe even get rid of the tree on the left. And just let this talk for you. Mm-hmm. This is good. It's a cool scene, man. I don't have anything else actually to talk about on it. You can see how weird this tree is here now, though, right? It feels forced. It's also right on the tangent of the frame, so like it's like bam, it's like right on the edge. Let me see if this is. We got everything here. Okay, cool. We are back. Let's do this. Oh, we're missing one thing. I'm just gonna tear this off here and. There we go. Okay. Wait, is this your scene? Wait a minute. Dude, that's wild. Okay, so this is your scene. This is the kind of camera view that you've been going with for the color change. Okay, so the first thing I think I would do is get a displacement on this if you haven't already. If you have, I would turn it up more. Whoa, a plastic wrapped phone. Dude, that's wild. It's got palm on the wall. I think you need more than that. I think I would actually displace it. Are you in 5.4? 5.3? Okay. I would see if you can turn it up just a little bit more. And when you're rendering it, I think this film grain that's going on here would be really nice. So you can see the highlight that's on the character here. I think in yours, the highlight's good, but it's maybe just a tad too bright. Oh, you do have grain in there. I see it now. I think the elements that aren't like this, the chair, for example, here, when you look at it here, it's generally dark, but the darker areas are actually lighter than yours. Like I think I like what you're doing with your lighting more for the chair. What I would probably do is in post processing, adjust your like mids and lows to support a bit. Oh my god. Okay. What I was gonna say is your mids and your lows. I would try and make them look more milky, like the film that you're trying to imitate. You should be able to post a link. It depends what it is. This might be a little too reflective. It's also yours looks a little bit thicker as well, like on that edge here. I'd probably just adjust the roughness to be a little bit more rough, and you won't get these weird like dark spots. You'll get more of a general like value in your reflection. But honestly, I think you're actually doing a pretty good job. Yeah. Oh. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Oh, I bet the transparency's been a bit of a struggle. You're talking about like the plastic wrap that's on things? Hey, you're doing a pretty good job with it, though, it looks like. If you can, maybe get like a Fresnel on it for like cloudiness or milkiness. Generally, this looks pretty cool, though. I want to see these props up close. I want to see what these all look like. But overall, everything's looking pretty good. I would love to see, maybe not this stream, but like link me a roughness pass. I want to see what your roughness looks like. I would appreciate it. Your mic's off, but we're still getting the text below. You can still see what I'm saying. We're just gonna do the whole stream muted. Okay. Anyways, yeah, no, this looks cool. So Sebastian, rework the top part, top wood part, adjusted the rust a bit, and with some noise and a bit refined. Let's get in here. Refined where the metal is rusted, added a bit more grime where the metal meets the wood, removed some of the paper stuff which was on the pull. Any ideas how to improve it further? No, I would post this. I think you've learned a lot from this and it looks really good. This light is sick. Maybe, hang on. Maybe the way that the light is highlighting this could maybe be toned down just a little bit. And I gotta start Photoshop again. 2 seconds. Oh wow, I hid myself. Okay. Yeah, so let's try and turn it up a little bit. Let me think here. I'm gonna recreate your. Nice. You know what I'm gonna do. I need a background that's got stuff going on in it, or I lose my mind. I mean, it could even be mirrored of like what's happening here. Just something. And then you want some bloom in there, I think. Let's make this a smart object. We'll just do a Gaussian blur. We'll turn this into a screen. Well, this isn't gonna do. So I'll just smart object this, and then we'll blur it, and then we'll screen this. So I didn't want it to be connected to the background, and then I also don't want it to be this crazy strong. Maybe stronger. But then put a mask on it. We'll invert the mask, and then we'll just paint it here. You just want that glow, man. Just of the emissive. This thing here, I feel like is really bright. Oh, yeah, sure. We'll rasterize it. Oh, right. Needs to be on this side. Midtones. Highlights. I would just tone it down a little bit. It just feels abnormal. Like you don't know what's happening there. But dude, I think this already looks pretty cool. I really like this blue highlight you got going on here. Yeah. It's nice, dude. Anyways, cool. I think you're ready to post it, honestly. Looks dope. Make sure to show your wireframes and your texture maps. That's it. Easy mode. Okay, one last one, I believe. Sizen, yo. Let's take a peek here. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. The fraying is really nice on there. So I'm thinking of calling this one done. That sounds, yeah. This looks pretty done, man. Also, I really like the flash pictures. Would love to know which one you like most. Oh, that's interesting. So you mean as if a photo was taken? Man, that's interesting. Jay the Newt, what's up, man? It's pretty sick, right? So I like what your thoughts are. here with the flash. So if you want to do that, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea. I would not do it in stills. I would, yeah, dude. This stream was full of cooks, man. Everyone just top tier, freaking cook status. I'm trying to think of how you would portray this. So I like your renders without the flash, but I really like the idea of the flash. I think what I would do is in a sequence animate a camera that's kind of wobbling like someone's taking pictures and cut from shot to shot. And then when you do a flash in post, edit in the single frame frozen as if it's the photo. And then it goes back to another frame where they're like trying to get the shot, and then it flashes, and then you have the still frame. And you just do that a couple times. Get some audio to that, man. That's a pretty cool feeling, I think. Or even just animate the flashing. Like each shot, like they're taking pictures. So you actually experience the flash. But yeah, show your wireframes, show your texture maps, texture flats. I want to see the UVs. I think the only thing that I would, yeah, it's very, so I don't like the stacking because there's a high chance that there's something I want to see in your albedo that's in here. What I would say is, I mean, the wireframe can be black. I think it's okay for it to be black. Even though, you'll lose it in the darker areas because they'll get the general idea and they'll see like, oh, optimizing in ways as well. I think the only thing I would feedback on all of this is the table feels like it needs some type of a normal map. It can be very subtle. It could be a detail normal that's tiled really high and that's it. But it needs something. But the roughness should carry it like it is now. Man, this is sick, man. The aged leather too, with the folds cracking and all that stuff from usage, so sick. This looks like it could be your thumbnail as well. I think this is your thumbnail though. But cool. Super cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. We're going to get out of here. We're going to skedaddle.